Now we will move on to another segment of economy, an important segment because we already spoken about industry as such, and now Mr. Miroslav Kobera, who is a green business manager from SKANSKA Reality, will present his insights into Green Deal aspects in a part of industrial production in the broader sense of the word and its construction. Very important field of Czech economy, but in almost any economy in general. So, Mr. Kobera, now the floor is yours. Thank you for your time and your being with us.
Thank you too for being able to speak at this conference. My name is Miroslav Kobera. I represent SKANSKA Residential Development here in Czech Republic. We are a joint unit with Poland and representing residential development Europe. Basically, my profession here is Green Business Manager, which means that I'm responsible for most of the sustainability in our development and also the reporting of CO2 footprint and all the green stuff that is applied in our residential buildings. That means water savings, energy efficiency, quality management, and so on. So basically, today's I will take it from the broader perspective, and then I will come to the details, mostly that are in line with the theme of today's conference. What is our culture of developing a residential building? That the culture of living is built out of four values, let's say. That is life between buildings, respect toward the place where we'll build the building in, then the resources, and lastly the long-term value. Basically, this should be our way how to achieve sustainability. And basically what we're going to talk about today is the respect towards resources, because resources can be the concrete ones, the materials, and also the energy which has to be produced somehow from nature, either from renewable or unrenewable resources. What we do in our all residential projects is that we have an external representation of a certification system that covers all of the sustainability values coming from materials, waste, health and well-being, management, ecology, water, transport, and pollution. And mainly what we're gonna touch today is the energy. Energy is very closely connected with also the today mostly spoken subject, that is CO2 footprint and how to approach the CO2 neutrality. I will talk about the CO2 footprint in the second part of the presentation, but the first part will describe how we approach the energy demand of either projects, either way of living of our clients who buy our flats, and so on. So I will jump right into the solutions that we use to lower the energy demand that we develop the projects with. Basically, you have an energy certificate that has to be proposed for every building that you want to deliver. So meaning that in the end, when the occupancy permit is given, you have to deliver the energy certificate of the building. That means that the energy flows into the building in the non-renewable sources, such as gas, electricity, and also the district heating. And in order to lower its emissions or its demand on energy, you either use the positive that creates something non-renewable, like sources, and also the insulation or stuff that covers the energy inside the building and doesn't let it out. When you have a wastewater, air, and all other stuff, the whole system exchange the energy from and outside the building, And how you can save the energy inside is that the source that is coming out of your whole system is renewed, such as style as recuperation. You can get some of the energy that comes out of your building with this system. The system gets the energy from the wastewater that is coming out of the building, and it preheats the water that is coming into the building. In our residential projects, we also use the gray water system that saves potable water, because it changes the water twice in the building. So it means that the water that is used with the sinks and showers is cleaned, and also you can flush with that, and then also it renews the energy and puts it out of the building. But that is a different subject of presentation. If you can exchange the energy of water, you can exchange also the energy of the air inside of your flat. This is the engine that you see on the screen that is circled here, and here it is described in a picture. Basically, the outside air is taken into this engine when it exchanges the energy, and then it takes the preheated air in, and here the heated air gives the energy to the outside air and flows out. So you have sufficient circulation of your inner air in your building, and that is sufficient of filtration of solid particles. You have permanent flow of air. That means that you have lower CO2 levels. You don't have to open the windows that often. And also the efficiency of heat exchange is very high. So these are the solutions that basically renew energy and are very efficient in exchanging the energy in your building. But how you can produce energy inside of the building without any outside system, meaning that you burn gas or anything unrenewable, are basically solar panels that can preheat water for heating of the inner rooms and all the flats. So what is basically the system, the logic of the system is that cold water is pumped up to the roof, where it circulates through all those solar panels, is preheated to, let's say, 40 to 50 degrees of Celsius, and then it is put down again where the gas burner is, and is heated to temperature that is reachable, and that is what you need of as a consumer. So basically, from the energy certificate that we have created for this actual project in 2021, it has been put into the occupancy permit. It's called Čertůvršek, and the installation of the whole energy efficiency covers the 1/3 of the whole energy demand of the whole building. So that's a piece of cake that can help all of the projects through the whole project. Here I have a video of a different project, but it really nicely describes how the energy efficiency is covered by our managers. So basically, I will translate it. So energy from the solar panels preheats the warm water. So in project Modranský Cukrovar, we will install 1,150 meters squared of photothermal panels. So the energy certificate B, that means we will cover most of the energy inside of the building. And also, if we talk about the heating and cooling of the inner space, the insulation, and also the outside sun covers are basically saving the heating and also the cooling of the project. This is a different project. This is the biggest project we're going to have in this year's. It's gonna cover 800 units in spectrum of 8 years, I guess. And basically in all our historical projects, what we did is we tried different solutions in different projects. For example, Chertu Vršek was the one that we've tried solar panels with. Then we had water solution as a gray water. We tried it at the project Botanica, and so on, and green roofs and Miličovský High, and so on. What we're going to do in this project, Modranský Cukrovar, is that it's going to be used in the whole, and is going to create a big green, the biggest blue-green infrastructure project in Prague yet. So this is the video. This is a picture of how it's going to look. It's already been given the construction permit, and the first 2 stages are being built right now. As you see, there's going to be a combination of green roof and the solar panels. And what we're trying to accomplish is that also photovoltaics are going to be installed here. Also in Emil Kolben district, in Kolbenova on Metro B, there's going to be installed the first photovoltaic energy plant that is going to cover the use of ventilation and also the lights in the common space. The biggest issue that is with the photovoltaics installation here in Czech Republic is mostly the legislation and also the contracts with the companies that deliver electrical energy. The bad thing is, or the downside of the energy generation in such a buildings is that you can store it in a battery storages, which are more expensive to be built, and also you can sell it back to the grid, but that is not yet very often to be done. And also, if you as a developer create a project where you install photovoltaic panels, it means that you sell the flats, you give all the common places to a provider that that supports all the stuff in the around, but the photovoltaics has to be given to a provider that has an energy certificate. It means that they can sell energy, and basically all the system is being developed and described in further months, so we can get into providing also electricity with renewable sources to the end client. I have one slide with circular economy here also, because I think that Green Deal also covers the circularity of all the stuff. And also with energy, it comes to circularity, because if you need to create something from nothing, that means that you have to get the primary material that costs you energy. If you recycle, that means that you cover at least some of the percentages of the energy. Either you have to somehow redo it, but most of the time it is lower energy dependent than primer materials. So in our residential project, what we do, that we're already recycling 31% of the tap water in the building. As I mentioned, that is the gray water system, which I already described, that reuses the shower and sink water for flushing. Then you can also, in the further projects, you can use it for washing machines. That is also a big new feature that we're going to offer. Then we have Rebeton, that is recycled concrete. So 20% of the new projects starting from 2020 are using recycled concrete. That means that in sites that we demolish buildings such as Emil Kolben district, which is a big brownfield, we use grinded the demolition waste, like bricks, concrete, and so on, and that is put as particles into new concrete that is mixed with cement and so on, and we save with that materials such as sand and small stone particles. And also all of the material that is not used during the construction process is being recycled. So we have a different container for at least 10 different materials such as plastic, glass, insulation, plasterboard, wood, steel, and I could count up to 10. What we are also trying to develop in our development, that's why we're a development company, that we're trying to find new sources of energy and electricity in our projects, and that is that as you see, CO2 footprint of electricity in Czech Republic is bad, so that's why we try to install gas, like those not gas boilers, but renewable sources. Also here, I don't want to mention these because also the time is running out, but I want to jump into the CO2 footprint as far as I can. So we have a primary energy demand, which we're trying to follow, and that to accomplish 2030 reduction of 50% in CO2 footprint, we've developed this table that forecasts CO2 emissions per year of all our projects, because as I said, the energy dependency is closely connected to primary energy demand and all of the sources. I don't want to go into the detail of this. Anybody who is interested in this can easily contact me and we can discuss this later, but I want to mention that we are already doing something to follow the EU legislation. What we also did in Port Carolina Sea, that we offered green energy and electricity for all of our clients. So we pre-provided them, and by now, like 2 or 3 years ago, what we did it, 66% of all flat owners remain with the green tariff that we offered them. This one was done with this provider. In different projects, we use different providers. We also support electromobility. That means that in most of our all new projects, we have this fast chargers, and also in the basement, we have the EV charger that you can buy as a new owner with the flat. And just fast as I can, with the SKANSKA climate goal, we are in line with the climate goal of EU and the whole protocol. That means that by 2045, we want to reach net zero. We've started in 2015 with the scope 1 and 2, and by that, within our own emissions, we've already reduced it to the 40%, and the 2030, we want to be 70% down. This is how we are dropping the values. So it's really nicely going, but that's scope 1 and 2. That means that these are the direct emissions that we emit. It's not the scope 3, but that's the CO2 of how to accomplish it. So basically, it's, as I'm saying, circularity, low carbon materials such as low carbon concrete, renewable sources, vehicles that are powered by electricity, and so on. And in the scope 3, it's basically all about the concept of design. As early as you can build or design a building that is going to save the carbon emissions, the better, because in the construction process, it is hard to accomplish that when everything is already designed. So this is how it should go on, the carbon model. So the early stage of design is basically what matters, and a small detail in the end that we already planning to build the first wooden structure that is going to be 6 stories high, and that already saves around 60 to 70% of CO2 emissions in embodied carbon. That means that the wooden structure is the future of life cycle assessment. This is basically life cycle assessment that is only touched by all this subject of electricity, that describes the whole process of the whole life cycle of the building. That means that when you're starting with materials and the district heat use, that means the 50 years of the use of the building that needs the energy is the biggest one. So if you want to lower, what's the main message is that if you want to lower the emissions of a building throughout this whole life cycle, basically the energy that is powered, it has the biggest CO2 footprint. Not that much the materials, but mostly the energy that is powered into the building. This is only some of the CO2 solutions that we use. As I described, the low emission concrete, the renewable sources. This is recuperation of air, wooden structure, also gray water system. And that is the final slide of my presentation. Hopefully you got the message, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Miroslav. Miroslav Kobera from SKANSKA Reality has been speaking about impact of Green Deal on construction industry. One more question from me again. I would like to ask, because some people, including developers, are afraid that because of new technologies in construction, the prices of housing will go up. So what do you think about that? Do you see pressures, cost pressures from in your industry because of that fact?
Is this the price of materials or price of the houses?
Yeah. Price of materials as such, and then because of real estate as the general.
Yes.
In general.
As of my job description, that is sustainability, I think that the price of materials is a good insight of recycling the materials. So when the primary materials are expensive, that means that you have to reuse the materials that are already in circularity, and they're not going to the landfill. So in my view, that is a good feature for the developers, like my colleagues who develop the project. It is can be a significant obstacle, but obstacles bring you to development of new ideas and new resources of materials, such as recycling. As we have this recycled concrete, then you have recycled plastics, and you can also recycle plasterboard and so on. So I see it as a potential in new development, because there's a lot of material in the cycle, but we need to just think of it how to use it more and so on. So I see it as a with a big potential.
Great. So higher prices are kind of incentive to innovate.
Yes, basically. And with the high prices of the flats, it's hard for me to describe. I'm not a real estate agent, but it's good for a developer when their houses are selling and when the flats are selling. So with today's what's going on in this world and all the stuff that is going on, we are glad that our business is growing.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your insights into construction and Green Deal influence on it.